The first thing Lily noticed was the blood on her sleeve. Not hers, not fresh, but warm enough to matter. The second was the sound. A flat, continuous alarm was tearing through the hospital hallway as two small girls ran barefoot toward her, panic breaking their breath apart. "Please," Jessie said, gripping Lily's uniform like it could hold a life in place. Jenny stood there crying without a sound. Behind the glass, a man lay surrounded by machines, and money couldn't reach him. When his eyes opened and found Lily's face, everything in him stopped. The hospital did not sleep. It only dimmed. Lights hummed overhead, pale and unforgiving, reflecting off polished floors that smelled faintly of disinfectant and rain. Outside, water slid down the tall glass windows in uneven lines, blurring the city into streaks of white and gray. Somewhere deep in the building, a machine beeped in a rhythm too steady to be comforting. Lily James sat alone on a plastic chair near the wall, her back straight, her hands folded tightly in her lap. They were shaking. Not violently, not enough for anyone else to notice, just enough that she pressed her fingers together, knuckles whitening, forcing stillness the way she had learned to do years ago. Her uniform was clean, except for a darkened smear near the cuff she hadn't been able to scrub out in the bathroom sink. She kept her eyes on the floor, counting tiles, breathing carefully, pretending the sound in her chest was only her pulse. She told herself she was just waiting. Waiting was something she knew how to do. Footsteps echoed down the hallway, quick, uneven, wrong. Lily looked up just as two small figures slipped past a nurse's outstretched arm. "Hey, sweethearts, wait!" They didn't. Bare feet slapped against the floor, the sound too loud in the quiet corridor. One girl stumbled and caught herself on the wall. The other didn't slow down at all. "Lily!" The word tore out of Jessie's throat, sharp and breaking. She ran straight into Lily, wrapping her arms around Lily's waist with the force of someone afraid the ground might disappear. Jenny followed a second later, gripping Lily's sleeve with both hands, her face pale, eyes too big. Lily stood instinctively, chair scraping softly behind her. "Hey," she said. The word came out low, steady. She crouched so she was level with them, even as her heart started to pound harder. "Hey, what's wrong?" Jenny shook her head. She couldn't seem to make her mouth work. Jessie did it for her. "They said Daddy's heart did something bad," she said, breath hitching, fingers twisting into Lily's uniform, like fabric could anchor a person to the world. "They said he might not wake up." The hallway seemed to tilt. Lily opened her mouth, then closed it again. She didn't look toward the glass wall yet. She kept her eyes on the girls, on the faint smudge on Jenny's cheek, on the way Jessie's shoulders kept lifting like she was trying not to cry. "I'm here," she said instead. "I'm right here." Behind her, the glass reflected movement. A gurney rushed past, flanked by doctors and nurses speaking in clipped phrases Lily didn't recognize fast enough to understand. The sheets were white, too white. A man lay beneath them, his skin darker than the fabric, his chest rising shallowly as machines did part of the work his body wouldn't. Henry Caldwell. His eyes were half open, unfocused, glassy. Then, just briefly, they cleared. And they found her. Everything else seemed to fall away in that instant. The rain, the voices, the machines. His gaze locked onto Lily like he had reached for something solid in a room that was slipping. Recognition passed through his face, not soft, not warm, sharp enough to hurt. His brow tightened, His fingers twitched against the sheet as if he meant to speak and couldn't remember how. Then the gurney was gone. The hallway swallowed the sound of it, leaving only the echo of footsteps and the steady beeping that had never stopped. Lily realized she was holding the girls too tightly. She loosened her arms. A nurse approached, breathless, eyes moving quickly between Lily and the twins. "Ma'am," she said gently, "are you family?" Lily hesitated. The word pressed against her throat, heavy with things it wasn't supposed to mean. "I work for him," she said quietly. The nurse nodded once, already making a decision. "We need to move fast. What's your blood type?" Lily didn't answer right away. She looked down at the twins, at the way Jessie's hand hadn't let go, at Jenny's eyes fixed on her face like Lily might disappear if she looked away. And then she lifted her chin. "I don't know, but you can check. What do you do when the people who need you most aren't supposed to need you at all?"
Enjoying the story so far? Whether you're listening while trying to catch some sleep, getting through your chores, or just taking a quiet moment for yourself, we're glad you're here. Take a minute and tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and stay with us for more stories like this.
The waiting room learned its shapes. Jenny took the chair closest to the wall and never moved it. She sat with her back straight, hands folded, eyes following everything without landing anywhere for long. When nurses passed, she watched their shoes. When the doors opened, she lifted her head a fraction, then let it fall again. She did not ask questions. She did not cry. She pressed her lips together until they turned pale and stayed that way. Jessie couldn't sit still. She paced the length of the room, counting steps aloud under her breath, stopping only to lean against Lily's knee as if checking she was still there. When her energy dipped, she climbed onto the chair beside Lily and curled inward, feet tucked beneath her, thumb hovering near her mouth without quite touching it. Every few minutes, she looked up. "Did they say anything yet?" Lily answered the same way each time. "Not yet." She never added more. Staying had always been her way. At the Caldwell house, staying meant waking before the sun and moving quietly through wide rooms that carried sound like secrets. It meant warming milk without clinking the pot, laying out clothes in pairs, blue socks with blue socks, red dress with the soft cardigan Jenny liked even when it wasn't cold. It meant kneeling to eye level, not because anyone asked, but because that's where children spoke most honestly. She never corrected the way Jessie talked too fast when she was excited. She never pushed when Jenny retreated into silence. She noticed instead a cup placed within reach, a blanket folded close, the door left open at night, just enough. She had learned the line and stayed on the safe side of it. Here, the line felt thinner. Time stretched. The rain outside softened to a mist, then returned, heavier, tapping against the glass in irregular bursts. A television mounted high in the corner played something bright and loud that no one watched. The beeping from down the hall continued, a reminder that someone else's body was being negotiated by machines. A nurse brought paper cups of water. Lily took them and handed one to each girl. Jessie drank hers in quick gulps and made a face. Jenny held the cup with both hands, warming her fingers, and didn't drink at all. "Can I see him?" Jessie asked suddenly. Lily inhaled through her nose. "Not right now." "Why not?" "Because they're helping him," Lily said, "and we don't get in the way of that." Jessie nodded, absorbing this like a rule she could follow if she tried hard enough. She slid off the chair and sat on the floor instead, cross-legged, her back against Lily's shin. The contact steadied them both. When the doctor finally came, it wasn't with answers. He was young, his voice careful. He spoke to Lily first, then lowered himself slightly, addressing the girls as if their height mattered. "We're doing everything we can," he said. "We need to run some tests." He asked Lily again about her blood type. "I don't know," she repeated, "but I'll do whatever you need." There was no drama in the words, no lift in her tone. She did not look at the girls when she said it. She kept her eyes on the doctor's badge, the small crease between his brows. He nodded once. "We'll start with a sample." The hallway beyond the double doors was colder. Lily rolled up her sleeve without comment. The needle prick was brief, sharp enough to demand attention, then gone. She watched the vial fill, dark and steady, and thought about nothing else. When she returned, Jessie jumped to her feet. "Did it hurt?" Lily shook her head. "It was quick." Jessie seemed satisfied with this answer. She grabbed Lily's hand again, squeezing once before letting go. Jenny looked up, searching Lily's face for something Lily didn't name. They waited longer. The chairs grew uncomfortable. Jessie fell asleep sideways across two of them, her mouth open, breath uneven. Lily leaned against Lily's arm, light but deliberate, her head barely touching. Lily did not move. When the doctor finally came, it was with a woman this time, older, steadier, eyes that didn't rush. "Ms. James," she said, glancing at the chart, "can I speak with you?" Lily stood slowly. She brushed Jessie's hair back from her forehead, careful not to wake her. She whispered to Jenny, "I'll be right here," and meant it literally, just outside the room, just close enough. The woman closed the door behind them. "You're a match," she said. The words landed without sound. Lily waited for something to follow, a condition, a delay, a reason this would stop, but the woman only watched her, assessing. Lily nodded once. "Okay. We'll need to explain the risks, and you can take time to—" "I understand," Lily said. She did not interrupt again. She listened. She asked one question about recovery, another about work. She did not ask about him. When she went back in, Jenny stood immediately. Jessie stirred, eyes fluttering open. "What happened?" Lily sat down. She took a breath. She kept her voice even. "They found a match," she said. Jessie smiled, relief breaking across her face like sunlight. She reached for Lily's hand without looking. Jenny watched Lily closely. She did not smile. She did not cry. She simply nodded, once, as if committing something important to memory. Lily squeezed their hands gently, and stayed. Consciousness returned in fragments. Sound came first, a metronome tapping somewhere near his ear, too steady to belong to a human hand. Then pressure, deep and dull beneath his ribs. Henry Caldwell tried to breathe and found the breath already there, arriving without his permission. That annoyed him. Light cut through his eyelids. He did not open them. He waited, measuring. Waiting had always been safer than reacting. He cataloged what he could feel, the cool drag of air across his skin, the faint itch at his wrist where something tugged, the hum of machines negotiating on his behalf. Voices threaded in and out. Window is narrow. Compatible donor. No family match yet. Family. The word landed oddly. He reached for it and found edges where there should have been weight. A memory slipped through the cracks. A different hospital, years ago. A corridor that smelled like coffee and bleach. His mother was asleep in a bed that wasn't hers. He had stood by the vending machine pretending to read labels, pretending his hands didn't shake. A woman had stood beside him then, quiet, brown coat, hair pulled back like she didn't want it to distract anyone. She hadn't asked questions. She hadn't tried to fix anything. She had just held a paper cup out to him when he forgot to drink. Lily. The name came without effort, as if it had been waiting. Henry's eyes opened. The ceiling was a grid of pale squares. A line of light buzzed overhead. He turned his head slightly, and the room swayed, then steadied, chastened. He was not in control of this movement. That fact sat badly with him. He heard his name spoken again, closer now. A doctor leaned into his field of vision, face careful, practiced. "Mr. Caldwell, can you hear me?" Henry nodded once. The effort sent a flare of heat through his chest. He kept his mouth shut until it passed. "We're stabilizing you. You've had a serious complication. We're assessing transplant options." "No," Henry said. The word came out rough, scraped along the back of his throat. He tried again. "No." The doctor paused. "Sir?" "I don't want it," Henry said. He forced his focus to hold. He had negotiated worse odds than this. "Do what you can without that." "Mr. Caldwell," the doctor said gently, which irritated him further, "this isn't about want, it's about time." Henry closed his eyes. He pictured his office, glass, steel, silence. He pictured his daughter's room with the door always open, toys lined carefully as if order could substitute for presence. "Do another way," he said. "There's always another way." Behind the doctor, beyond the door, sound rose. Small voices, too familiar to be imagined. "Daddy, please." His breath caught before he could stop it. The voices came closer, muffled, urgent. He could hear the difference between them even through the wall. Jessie's sharp insistence, Jenny's quieter insistence, pressed thin by restraint. The sound of a nurse intercepting, shoes squeaking. Henry's fingers twitched against the sheet. "Please," he said again, softer now. He wasn't sure who he was speaking to. "They don't need to see this." The doctor glanced toward the door, then back. "We'll take care of them," he said. "Right now, we need to take care of you." "No," Henry said, and this time it was not defiance, it was something closer to fear. "You don't understand." Another memory surfaced uninvited. The Caldwell house at night, too quiet. His daughters are asleep, doors open. Lily moves through the kitchen with practiced ease, leaving no trace except warmth. He had watched her once from the top of the stairs and felt something tighten, not desire, not regret, recognition. The person he had been before money required armor. A shadow crossed his vision. He opened his eyes again and saw her. Not fully, just the edge of her, a sleeve, a familiar stillness at the foot of the bed. Lily James stood there as if she belonged to the room, as if hospitals recognized her. Henry's gaze locked. Time thinned to a thread. She looked different, paler, tired in a way that suggested hours, not days, but it was her, the woman from the corridor years ago, the woman in his house now, the woman whose presence his daughters sought before anyone else. His mouth moved before he decided to let it. "No," he said, hoarse. He tried to lift his hand and failed. "Don't." Lily didn't step closer. She didn't speak. She simply met his eyes, steady as she had always been. The doctor followed his gaze. "She's here because—" "No," Henry said, and this time it was not defiance, it was something closer to fear. "You don't understand." The voices outside rose once more, closer now. "Daddy." Henry's chest tightened. He turned his head as far as he could toward the sound, toward the proof of what mattered. When he turned back, Lily was still there, still silent. The room narrowed. The machines kept their rhythm. "Lily," he whispered. The name slipped out like a confession. And in that quiet space between one breath and the next, control left him, not violently, not all at once, but enough to matter. What happens when strength can no longer protect the people you love? The pen was heavier than Lily expected. It rested in her fingers like something borrowed, unfamiliar, the plastic cool against skin that still smelled faintly of antiseptic. The paper beneath it was thin, covered in small, precise text that flattened risk into paragraphs in checkboxes. She read every line. She did not rush. When she reached the end, she turned back and read it again. The nurse waited without comment. Outside the room, the hospital moved the way it always did. Carts rolling, doors opening and closing, voices softened by distance. Lily focused on the sound of her own breathing, in through her nose, out through her mouth, steady enough. She signed. The nurse took the clipboard, nodded once, and said, "We'll prep you." Lily stood and smoothed her uniform down, a habit from other days, other rooms. She folded it carefully and placed it on the chair, as if she might need it later. The gown tied at the back, she did it herself, fingers working the thin strings with practiced calm. When she stepped into the corridor, she saw him. Henry lay propped slightly higher now, color returning in uneven patches. Tubes traced lines across his skin. His eyes were open, watching. The nurse paused. "A minute," she said, and stepped back. Lily approached the bed slowly, not because she was afraid, but because speed felt wrong here. She stopped just short of touching distance. "You shouldn't be here," Henry said. His voice was steadier than before, controlled. It sounded like him again, and the sound of it pressed something tight against Lily's ribs. "They said I could be," she replied. He looked past her, jaw set. "I didn't consent to this." She waited. She had learned that waiting often changed the shape of a moment. "They explained it to me," she said. "I did." "That's not what I meant," he said. He shifted, then stopped when pain reminded him of limits he didn't like. "You don't owe me anything." "I know." The words landed between them, solid and unadorned. Lily didn't soften them. She didn't sharpen them either. Henry exhaled through his nose. "This isn't your responsibility." "No," she said. "It isn't." His eyes flicked back to her. "Then why?" She considered the question carefully. She thought of the twins' hands gripping her sleeves, of Jenny's quiet nod, of Jessie's certainty that Lily would know what to do. "I'm not doing this for you," she said finally. Henry's mouth tightened. He looked away again, toward the blank wall. The machines filled the space he left empty. "This changes things," he said. "Only if you let it," Lily replied. He laughed once, quietly, without humor. "You don't know what you're stepping into." She did not argue. She did not reassure him. She stepped closer instead, just enough that he had to turn his head to look at her again. "I know what I'm stepping away from," she said. That got his attention. For a moment, the room held still. His gaze searched her face, not for weakness, but for a crack he could use to regain control. He found none. "Stop," he said. The word was sharp, reflexive. "I won't allow it." Lily shook her head once. "You don't get to." The boundary stood between them, quiet and unyielding. Henry's hand shifted on the sheet. He lifted it halfway, then let it fall back, fingers curling as if around air. He did not touch her. He did not ask to. The space between them felt louder than contact would have. "You always do this," he said. "Do what?" "Decide, without asking." She met his eyes. "I asked myself." Something in his expression broke alignment, just slightly. The practiced angles slipped. He closed his eyes and pressed them shut, as if holding something in. When he opened them again, his voice was lower. "If something goes wrong," she said, "it won't. You don't know that. I know enough." The nurse returned, her efficiency kind. "It's time." Lily nodded. She turned back to Henry. She did not reach for his hand. She did not promise anything she couldn't keep. "I'll see you after," she said. He swallowed. "You don't have to." She leaned in then, close enough that her words were only for him. "Take care of them," she said. "That's all." The nurse guided the bed away. Wheels squeaked softly. The ceiling lights passed overhead in a steady pattern. Lily lay back and fixed her eyes on one point, letting the world narrow. As the doors swung open and the room gave way to bright white, she felt the smallest pull at her sleeve. She turned her head. Henry was watching her go, not commanding, not bargaining, witnessing. The doors closed. The hallway swallowed the sound, and Lily James was wheeled into surgery without looking back. The storm came in sideways. Rain struck the hospital windows with a violence that made the glass shudder, each gust rattling the frame like an argument that refused to end. Thunder followed, not loud enough to frighten, just heavy enough to remind the building that it was small compared to what moved outside it. Henry dreamed in pieces. White corridors folding into darker ones, the sound of a monitor slowing, then restarting, a child's voice counting under its breath. He reached for control the way he always did, by naming things, by setting order, but the dream did not obey. When he woke, the storm was still there. The room was dimmer now, the overhead lights softened. His body felt different, not healed, altered. There was a weight beneath his ribs that hadn't existed before, a soreness that spread when he breathed too deeply, reminding him with quiet insistence that something fundamental had been rearranged. He did not move right away. Habit told him to assess first. The machines hummed at a slower pace. The numbers on the monitor rose and fell with a steadiness that felt earned, not borrowed. He tested his fingers. They obeyed. He tested his breath. It came, shallow but present. He turned his head. Lily was asleep in the chair beside his bed. Not sitting properly, curled slightly to one side, chin tipped forward, one arm folded protectively across her middle. A bandage wrapped her forearm, white against brown skin, the edges already shadowed where blood had seeped earlier and dried. An IV line trailed from her hand, taped down carefully. For a moment, Henry did not understand what he was seeing. Then understanding arrived all at once, heavy enough to press the air from his lungs. "No," he said. The word was silent. His mouth moved around it without sound. He tried to sit up. Pain flared, sharp and immediate, stealing his breath. He stopped, chastened. The room tilted, then settled. Lily stirred at the movement but did not wake. A nurse entered quietly, checking lines, checking screens. She followed his gaze and softened. "She's resting," she said. "You both need it." Both. "What did she do?" Henry asked. His voice came out rougher than he intended. He cleared his throat and tried again. "What did she give?" The nurse hesitated only a fraction of a second. "She was a match," she said. "A good one." The storm outside cracked louder, thunder rolling long and low. Henry closed his eyes. He saw Lily's hands signing papers without flourish. He saw her standing her ground when he tried to stop her. He saw the girls' faces turned toward her, not him, when fear needed somewhere to land. "You shouldn't have let her," he said. The nurse did not argue. She finished her checks and stepped out, closing the door gently behind her. The room fell quiet except for the rain. Henry opened his eyes again. Lily's breathing was slow, even. She looked smaller asleep, the steadiness of her presence reduced to something human and breakable. He noticed details he had never allowed himself to linger on before. The faint crease between her brows, the way her fingers curled slightly even at rest, as if holding on to something unseen. Something inside his chest folded inward. Tears came without warning. Not the kind that announced themselves, not the kind he could wipe away before anyone noticed. They slipped down the sides of his face and disappeared into the pillow, leaving behind a heat he did not know what to do with. He had been given many things in his life. opportunities, forgiveness he did not deserve, second chances disguised as transactions. This was none of those. This was flesh, time, risk, a gift that could not be returned, matched, or repaid. Henry turned his head toward the window. Rain traced erratic paths down the glass, catching light and bending it. He watched until the blurring in his vision cleared. He did not speak Lily's name again. He did not wake her. He did not reach for her hand, though it lay close enough that the effort would have been small. Instead, he stayed still. He listened to the rain. He listened to the machine beside him, keeping time. He listened to the quiet truth pressing against his ribs. Control had not saved him. She had. When Lily stirred an hour later, he pretended to be asleep. He heard her shift carefully, testing her own pain before moving. He heard the soft intake of her breath when she saw him still there. He kept his eyes closed, because if he opened them, he might reach for something he had no right to touch yet. And because change, he knew now, did not begin with words. It began with what you allowed yourself to lose. How do you live after someone gives you what you never earned? Recovery moved slowly, like something learning how to walk again. Lily felt it first in her body, the tight pull beneath her ribs when she stood too fast, the dull ache that followed her through the day like a shadow she couldn't shake. She learned new limits quietly, without complaint, the same way she learned most things, by listening when her body spoke and not asking it to do more than it could. Henry recovered differently. He healed in numbers, in charts, in reassurances delivered in low, professional voices. He asked questions, he made plans, he resumed meetings from his hospital room, then from home, his voice steady through speakerphone, as if nothing inside him had shifted. But something had. Lily noticed it in the space he kept. He thanked her once, briefly, carefully, as if the words themselves might tip something over if he leaned on them too long. After that, he kept a distance. He no longer lingered when she entered a room. He no longer met her eyes for more than a second at a time. Conversations narrowed to logistics, schedules, medication reminders, the girls' routines, polite, controlled, empty of the charged quiet that had lived between them before the surgery. Lily told herself it was relief. Relief that he was alive. Relief that the crisis had passed. Relief that lines were being redrawn where they belonged. Still, when she walked through the house, the rooms felt colder. The twins noticed. Jessie noticed first, because she always did. "Did we do something wrong?" she asked one evening, sitting cross-legged on the rug while Lily folded laundry. Her voice was casual, but her eyes were not. "No," Lily said immediately. She folded a shirt carefully, smoothing the seams. "Why would you think that?" "Daddy doesn't stay anymore," Jessie said. "He just leaves." Jenny didn't speak. She watched Lily's hands instead, tracking every movement as if searching for hesitation. "He's tired," Lily said. "Healing takes time." Jessie nodded, unsatisfied but willing to accept the explanation for now. Jenny did not nod. She reached for Lily's sleeve just lightly, then let go. At night, Lily lay awake longer than she should have. She replayed the hospital room in pieces, the way Henry had looked at her, the weight of his silence, the steadiness that had passed between them without permission. She thought of the donor papers, in the way his voice had broken when he tried to stop her. She wondered when care had become an intrusion. The answer came quietly one morning when she overheard Henry on the phone. "I need things back to normal," he said. "No complications, no blurred lines." He paused, listening. "Yes," he continued, "I'm aware of what she did. That doesn't change what's appropriate." Lily stood in the hallway, unseen.
She did not move. She did not breathe loudly enough to announce herself. She waited until the call ended and Henry's footsteps moved away. Blurred lines. The phrase settled in her chest like a verdict. She began to prepare, not dramatically, not at all at once. She updated her resume during nap time, typing slowly, stopping when her hands tired. She made a list of agencies that offered part-time caregiving positions. She packed away small personal items from the Caldwell house, her mug, a scarf she kept draped over the back of a chair, the book she never quite finished. She did not tell the girls. They sensed it anyway. Jenny grew quieter, retreating further into herself. She lined her toys up with extra care, precision turning into a ritual. Jessie grew louder, more demanding, testing boundaries that had never needed testing before. "Are you leaving?" Jessie asked, blunt as ever. Lily knelt so they were eye to eye. "Why would you ask that?" Jessie shrugged, but her chin trembled. "People always do." Lily opened her mouth, then closed it again. She pulled Jessie into a hug, just long enough to steady them both. The next morning, Lily asked Henry if they could talk. He met her in the kitchen, dressed for work, phone already in hand. He listened without interruption as she spoke, his face unreadable. "I think it's best if I step away from the position." Silence followed. Henry set his phone down slowly. "You saved my life," he said. The words were precise, contained. "That doesn't entitle you to—" "I know," Lily said gently, "and I don't want it to." He studied her, searching perhaps for accusation. He found none. "When?" he asked. 2 weeks, she said. "I'll help transition." He nodded once. "Thank you." The word landed flat. Later that day, Lily wrote her resignation letter by hand. She folded it carefully and placed it on Henry's desk, aligned with the edge, just as she had always done. That evening, when the twins found out, Jessie cried openly. Jenny went very still. Lily held them both, absorbing the weight of their grief without trying to correct it. "I stayed," she whispered into their hair, "as long as I could." And when night fell, Lily James packed the last of her things and prepared to leave a house that had never truly been hers, except in the quiet ways that mattered most.
Henry watched the house empty itself, literally. Nothing dramatic like doors slamming or voices raised, but in the quieter way that mattered more. Sound thinned, the air changed, the kind of stillness that arrived when something essential had decided to leave without argument. He stood in his office, the resignation letter still where Lily had placed it, perfectly aligned, no crease, no smudge. He hadn't opened it. He didn't need to. The weight of it pressed just the same. Control told him to let this happen. Control said this was an order restored, lines redrawn. The balance was corrected after something dangerous had tilted it. Control reminded him that gratitude could be acknowledged without invitation, that debts could be honored without proximity, that people did not have to stay close to be respected. Control had kept him alive for decades. It had also left him alone. Henry picked up the letter at last. His name was written neatly at the top, the ink steady, no flourish, no apology. He folded it once and set it aside, then reached for his phone out of habit, meetings, schedules, something to anchor him. He stopped. The image that surfaced was not Lily in a hospital bed or Lily signing papers. It was smaller, earlier. Lily was kneeling on the kitchen floor, listening as Jenny explained a dream she didn't quite understand. Lily at the doorway at night, checking twice that the girls were asleep before turning off the hall light. Lily stayed without ever insisting she belonged. He had mistaken restraint for distance, and distance for safety. Henry moved through the house quickly, then faster. He passed the twins' room.
Jessie sat on the bed, knees pulled to her chest, eyes red. Jenny stood at the window, back straight, shoulders too tight for a child her age. "Where is she?" Henry asked. Neither answered at first. "She's leaving. You made her." Henry didn't correct her. He didn't say anything at all. He turned and went down the hall, out the door, into the late afternoon light. Lily's car was in the drive, trunk open. She was standing beside it, one hand braced against the metal, breathing carefully the way people did when their bodies hadn't quite forgiven them yet. A small suitcase sat at her feet. The house loomed behind her, large and silent, as if it had already decided to forget. "Lily?" She turned, not startled, not hopeful, just attentive. "You don't have to go," he said. The words sounded wrong the moment they left his mouth, too familiar, too close to command. Lily shook her head. "I do." He stepped closer, then stopped himself. He remembered the hospital room, the boundary she had held when he could not. "I thought—" He paused. He chose his words the way he chose investments, carefully, aware of risk. "I thought distance would fix it." "Fix what?" she asked. "What I owe you." She studied him for a long moment. The late light caught the edge of her face, drawing out lines he hadn't allowed himself to see before. Not age, endurance. "I didn't do this to be owed," she said. "I know," he said. The admission cost him more than he expected. "That's the problem." He took a breath, let it settle. "I pulled back because I was afraid, not of you, of what changes when someone doesn't ask permission to matter." Lily's expression did not soften. It didn't harden either. "You don't get to decide that after the fact." "I know," he repeated. He was learning the shape of the word. "And I'm not asking you to stay the way you were." She waited. "Stay because you choose to, not because you're hired, not because my daughters need you, not because I survived." The wind shifted. Leaves skittered across the drive. "And if I don't?" Lily asked. Henry didn't answer right away. He looked past her, at the road stretching away from the house, open and indifferent. "Then I'll still take care of them," he said quietly. "And I'll still carry what you gave me, just farther away than I want to." The honesty surprised them both. Lily exhaled. She closed the trunk slowly, not as a decision, but as a pause. "I don't want to replace anything, or anyone." "I'm not asking you to," replied Henry. "I'm asking you to be here." The front door opened behind them. Jessie stood there, arms crossed, defiant through tears. Jenny hovered just inside, watching. Lily looked at the girls, then back at Henry. "This doesn't make us even." "No," he agreed. "It makes us present." Silence stretched, not empty, considering. Finally, Lily nodded once. "Not as staff." Henry held her gaze. "Not as staff." She reached for the suitcase and lifted it back into the car, not closing it, just moving it aside. The choice hung there, unfinished, but real. Henry turned toward the house, then stopped. He looked back at her. "Thank you," he said, not for saving his life, not for staying, but for stopping him from hiding. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. They walked back inside together. Is love still love if it asks for nothing in return?
The rain stopped without ceremony. It thinned first, softened to a whisper against the windows, then disappeared entirely, leaving the sky rinsed clean and pale. Light slipped into the house at a different angle, catching on surfaces Henry had passed 1,000 times without noticing. Wood grain on the banister, dust motes drifting in the air, the faint smudge of a handprint on the glass near the back door. He stood in front of the boardroom window downtown, jacket folded over his arm, tie loosened. The city stretched beneath him,
orderly and vast, humming with movement that did not depend on him the way it once had. He had practiced the statement, he did not use it. When the questions came, sharp, rehearsed, hungry, he answered with fewer words than expected. "I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations," he said, effective immediately. A ripple moved through the room, phones lifted, pens paused. "This is a health decision," he continued, "and a family one." Someone asked about timelines, someone else asked about confidence. He listened, nodded once, and said nothing more than necessary. He named successors, he clarified boundaries, he did not explain himself beyond what was required. Letting go felt less like release than like loosening a grip he hadn't realized was clenched. When it was done, he left without looking back. At home, Lily sat at the kitchen table with a stack of mail spread in front of her, forms, brochures, a thin envelope from a nursing program she hadn't opened yet. Her body had healed enough to trust short walks again. She moved carefully, not from fear, but from respect for what it had given. She heard the door before she saw him. Henry came in without announcement, his presence quieter than it used to be. He set his jacket down, loosened his collar further, and leaned his hands against the counter as if grounding himself. "It's done," he said. Lily didn't ask what. She watched his shoulders, the way they lowered when the words left him. "Are you okay?" she asked. He considered the question. He nodded once. "Different." She pushed the envelope toward him, not opening it. "I've been thinking about this, about what staying means." He waited. "I don't want to trade one kind of dependence for another. I don't want to wake up one day and realize I stayed because it was easier than leaving." Henry met her eyes. "I don't want you to stay because of me." "That's not what I said," she replied gently. She slid the envelope back to herself and tucked it under her hand. "I'm afraid of needing," she said, "of how quiet it can become when you let someone carry you." He nodded. He knew that fear. He had built a life around it. "Then don't let me carry you. Walk beside me. Or don't, but choose it." Upstairs, a door opened. Feet padded down the hall. Jessie came first, moving fast, hair still damp from the bath. Jenny followed more slowly, one hand on the railing, eyes alert. "Daddy," Jessie said, launching herself into him with the full force of relief. Henry caught her easily, the movement practiced and sure. He laughed, surprised by the sound. Jenny stopped a step away. She studied his face, searching. "I'm home," he said quietly. She stepped forward then, pressing into his side, careful of his healing. Lily watched the moment settle, watched the way Henry adjusted without thinking, how his hand found Jenny's shoulder and stayed there. The light shifted again as the sun broke through the thinning clouds. It poured into the kitchen, warm and unexpected, illuminating the space where all four of them stood. Later, they sat together on the living room floor, backs against the couch. Jessie talked without pause, recounting a story Lily had already heard twice. Jenny leaned against Lily's shoulder, weight light but intentional. Henry listened, not correcting, not redirecting, just present. When the story ended, Jessie yawned dramatically and announced she was tired. Jenny nodded in agreement. As they headed upstairs, Henry lingered. Lily stood, smoothing her hands over her jeans, a familiar gesture that had nothing to do with nerves and everything to do with habit. "This doesn't make us safe forever," she said. "No," Henry agreed. "It makes us honest now." She watched him for a long moment. Then she reached for the envelope, tore it open, and scanned the letter inside. A pause, a breath. "I'm starting in the fall," she said. A smile touched his mouth, not wide, not performative, real. "I'll be here," he said. She nodded. In the quiet that followed, Henry noticed his hands. They were open, not gripping a phone, not clenched in resolve, just resting there, empty and steady. He drew a breath, and for the first time in a long while, it came without resistance. Time did not announce itself when it passed. It settled instead, into routines, into light that arrived earlier some mornings and later on others, into the sound of footsteps that no longer startled anyone when they crossed the hallway at night. Lily returned to school quietly. She studied in the mornings, books spread across the kitchen table while the house still slept. She learned again how the body held and healed itself, how damage did not always mean defeat, how care could be precise without being cold. Her notes were neat, her questions thoughtful. She did not tell many people why she had chosen nursing again. The reason lived too close to the surface to be explained well. Some evenings, she came home tired in the particular way that meant her mind had worked harder than her body. Henry learned to recognize it. He learned to make tea without asking, to leave space when she needed silence, to listen when she didn't. Henry parented differently now. Not perfectly, not dramatically. He attended school meetings and forgot to sign one permission slip. He read at bedtime, even when his voice grew hoarse. He learned the difference between Jenny's quiet need for reassurance and Jesse's loud insistence on it. He stayed through tantrums, through questions he didn't know how to answer yet. He stopped pretending presence was something he could schedule later. The house filled itself again, not with noise, but with use. Shoes by the door, drawings taped to the fridge, Lily's books were stacked near the couch, pages marked with careful folds. Henry's jacket draped over a chair instead of being hung away, as if he might need it again soon. There were moments that tested them, days when Lily hesitated at the edge of the room, unsure whether stepping closer meant giving too much. Nights when Henry woke and reached instinctively for control, only to stop himself and let the uncertainty sit where it was. They learned from each other slowly. Henry learned that Lily did not need saving. That which she accepted was never offered lightly. Lily learned that Henry's quiet did not always mean withdrawal, that sometimes it meant listening, recalibrating, choosing restraint instead of retreat. They did not name what they were becoming. They did not promise. They chose. Jenny noticed first. She began leaving her books in the living room instead of her bedroom, settling into the space where the adults sat. She leaned against Henry without checking first. She asked Lily questions about her classes and waited for the answers. Jessie noticed too, in her own way. She stopped asking if Lily was staying. She assumed it. She argued with Henry openly now, confident he would stay long enough to argue back. He laughed more easily, loudly, without scanning the room for permission. One evening, after the girls were asleep, Lily and Henry sat on the back steps, shoulders close but not touching. The air was cool, the yard still damp from earlier rain. "Are you glad you stayed?" Henry asked. Lily considered the question. She watched the way the porch light cast a soft circle around them, the way the night pressed gently against its edge. "Yes," she said, "but not because it was easy." He nodded. "Good." She glanced at him then, reading his face in the half-light. "Are you glad you let go?" He smiled, small and honest. "Every day." Inside, the house rested. The machines were gone, the alarms replaced by quieter signals, the rise and fall of breath, the creak of settling wood, the certainty that morning would come. They sat there a while longer, not reaching, not pulling away, just staying. And when Lily finally stood, Henry stood too, instinct matching instinct without urgency. He followed her inside, turning off the light behind them, leaving the dark exactly where it belonged. Some love doesn't arrive loudly. it stays.
Hey you, my fellow story family. Thank you for staying with us till the very end. We'd love to hear how this story made you feel. Would you have done anything differently? What did it teach you? If this story mirrors a season of your own life, feel free to share it with us in the comments. Stay close to this channel for more stories that speak of strength, love, and hope.